Well, hey YouTube, it's Petey Two Finger, and I wanted to talk about the Astroworld tragedy. Um, there, the media is saying that 8 people lost their lives. Quite a few others were injured. Now, if you're coming here to watch this channel and you're not one of the handful of people that is a fan of what I do here, you won't be aware that I've made small amount of decent enough amount of videos where I speak on how we should behave at concerts. This is a thing that I've been talking about for a while now. And my wife and I are older, middle aged white people. We're not hip young people. But we did go to a good amount of shows when we were in our younger times. We saw a lot of shows. And I went to some shows where that whole mosh pit thing, um, like early Slayer shows, I was there and witnessed that moshing. Um, in the 90s, when it got like the crowd surfing thing really came in, I attended some of those shows. I got up 3 times and surfed all the way up to the front and then all the way to the stage right at a Soundgarden show, and participated in moshing at 2 of the Lollapaloozas. And one of those was fantastic mosh, a circle pit on the lawn. Um, so I've participated in that sort of thing, and never once did I ever shove or bump into anyone who was not participating in that. Meaning, there's a way to go about this. Okay, now when when we transcend into a show that's overbooked, where there isn't proper considerations put in for security and just people management, is what we saw at Astroworld. We saw the worst case scenario where people were saying that even if you were in the back, it was really bad. So you can't even imagine. Well, you kind of can when you start hearing stories of the horrors that were happening towards the front when these surges were going on. Now, it's quite obvious to me. I should let you guys know the event. I, I read about it when I woke yesterday. My wife had left me a note because she knows that anytime there's a mass shooting or something, especially involving music, she'll. I mean, she knows that it's going to be something that I'm going to spend some time looking into. So I found out about it when I woke yesterday, and for the whole day and the whole night, that's basically all that I did was read Twitter and look at all of the videos that were out there yesterday multiple times, read eyewitness accounts, and then today I did the same thing. So it was like about 2 days of looking into this, what we call research now, which is where you just Google and read stuff. So keep in mind, I mean, number one, I wasn't there, and I'm reading people's interpretations, and I'm going and looking for the angle of the conspiracy theory. That's my slant on it. Is I'm looking for some people who are talking about Moloch, blood sacrifice, and the real extreme, the Looney Tunes end of the deal. Now it's an interesting the report. There's this report of a security guard, and I believe this report came from um, someone who was on the staff of the rapper. I believe this. I'd have to double check on that, and again, please excuse me because everything that I'm reporting here is all hearsay. It's all stuff that I read online, but it's some interesting facts. And there is a huge amount of people that feel that this was demonic, that this guy's a Satanist, that he's in with the Illuminati, that this was a blood sacrifice, that it was planned. So I just wanted to go over some facts and interesting things that I discovered, as well as make a video and chime in on what happened, because I've considered myself the spokesman for how we should behave when we're at one of these things. Because the truth of the matter is, if Travis Scott and his hip hop music can only control the crowd so much, that if the crowd were to consider the well being of others and not shove. Because all throughout reading this, there's all these reports of this girl fell down and they stomped her. They were stomping, they were kicking her and stomping her. And so this type of stuff is so far from the realm of anything I would ever consider. Here I am preaching like be nice and offer that 18 inches of personal space that we all deserve when we're at an event. You certainly don't deserve to have someone's knee in my asshole. If I paid a certain amount of money to get a ticket to lawn seats or whatever, general admission thing, I think everyone deserves to have that little bit of space. And for me, like, I need a lot. I need a lot. I'll flip out and have to leave. I have a thing, I think it comes from my older brother used to smother me with a pillow. He'd hold me down and do all sorts of torturing. He's 4 years older than me. And I can't even, if it's something on TV about somebody being buried alive or whatever, any of that stuff, I can't do it. I can't. So this is difficult for me to look at this stuff. But there are reports of someone going around and sticking people with needles. Now, one thing that you should consider is a report that I read that said all of the CPR cases, all of the cardiac arrest, because this is where it gets funky, is some people will tell you, oh, well, it's a result of the crowd surging of why we have all this cardiac arrest. I'm not buying it. I am not buying that. I think something was going on, whether that be, FBI heart attack, gun, that they were going to take one person out and they took a bunch of other people out. Or it would be someone in the crowd, whether they're part of this Illuminati satanic thing. I mean, you got to understand, he's got an album that's going to be coming out. And this is huge, huge. Yes, it's going to cost him some money. Yes, he's going to be paying for the funerals of the people that died. But this is incredible, incredible. And I mean, the whole thing, the imagery of going through his mouth, they have this effigy of him. They had these, it was encoded with messages, see you on the other side. They had these like slouched over, there's this thing in hip hop where you have to, like if you see pictures of Yee, he's got his coat with spikes and he's got his head hunched over like he's really sad. Well, they had these images of these beings with their head hunched over walking on top of the screen extends above the fascia, and they projected these images of these guys that look like demons walking, real creepy walk with their head, but with the head slumped over. Which immediately I see that, and the people are going, "What the f is that?" Well, I see how they did the posture, and that's obviously a hip hop meme. That's what that is, you know. So one thing again to consider was that the all of those cardiac arrests and where they were doing CPR on people, they were all in the same area. That's one of the reports that I read out of this whole thing. All of those CPR events were all in one area. So that lends to, was somebody injecting fentanyl in people? Was there some fentanyl exposed into the open air where you these people just inhaled it and it just took them down? Uh, was it people purchased Xanax bars that were cut with fentanyl? Or was it people? There was people there jabbing people with needles. Now, who knows? Who knows? One woman, I saw this woman that said she was actually there, and she said that the whole front of it, they had these plastic tiles that people were standing on. Okay? And she said that these things were supposed to lift people up because they had this mountain supposed to lift people up, and that whole system failed, and instead they were opening up and people were getting sucked into them, like whirlpools of people were getting sucked down into this thing, where then they were sacrificed to the Illuminati. Which I mean, you can laugh about it, and I know that sounds really crazy, but if you look into the amount of people that disappear every year at the Super Bowl, that's a real thing. And then they have these celebrations. So there's there is a lot going on. There definitely is two realms. Anyone that's ever used DMT or any spiritual person will tell you that there's our physical dimension and then there's this other realm. And if you believe in God, you believe in the devil, you kind of got to take both hand in hand. You got to understand that there is good and evil, and that at that point there's a third realm where this stuff, where it meets. You know, and that's really horrifically terrifying to consider that. But definitely something, there's more to this story, whether it be that this guy has sold his soul to Satan or that the Illuminati, whatever you want to call it. Just put that on the back burner for now. But the story that we're being told and the number of people that either died or were seriously injured, I believe is not. I believe it's something more than what they told us occurred, and that there probably is quite a few more people that were killed. Simply from the reports. Everybody that flipped out and made a report seems to say the amount of people that they saw. Now, what about the rest of the people? These people who are just holding their phones up and ignoring the fact that they're trampling on human bodies. These are the people that, you know, this is why I wouldn't feel comfortable knowing that my kids bought tickets to go to a Lollapalooza or something like that. I'd be like, don't. You know, if it's, let's say it's, I don't know. Korn is playing at an indoor show, something, Faith No More and Korn, Roger Waters from Pink Floyd, something like that. I would breathe easier. Something where you can rest assured, like a guy like Roger Waters or a band like Faith No More, they've been around long enough, um, and they have this reputation of good touring acts that you can generally feel rest assured that there's going to be stuff like clearly posted exits and enough security. But one of the things was that they played eerie synthesizer music all day over the PA. Everywhere there was speakers playing this music, and it kind of, like, from the beginning, people were gate crashing, and it was just like people said that it just seemed like something was off the whole day, and then as soon as this guy went on, the way that they had the stage set up and the vibe was really demonic and horrifically frightening. Now, I've seen it. I heard the audio of this. The bass has an octaver on it, so it's super super deep bass, and the 808 drum machine with the synthesizers, and then this guy with the auto tune. By the end of the night of watching it, I started to feel something in my spirit, a really just dark thing, like like just something horrific, or something was off, something negative, a demonic vibe. And according to people that were there, that presence was overwhelming. So all of this stuff together, putting all of it together, I'm not going to say like, oh yeah, these panels were lifting people up into the mountain and they had a thing underneath it where they were sacrificing and taking the adrenochrome. I'm not saying any of that is true. I don't know. I do not know what happened. Okay, but what I'm saying is, what I can bet money on, is that the mainstream media's reporting of this is not exactly what happened. I think more people definitely did die than what they're saying, and I think something was definitely going on. And it could have been a combination of multiple things. I'm not going to come on here and put my ass on the line and what I think happened. But now they're releasing the names of the victims, and then there's two people from Illinois who were best friends, two white guys that both lost their lives. Now, what are the odds that both of these guys died from getting squished? They're both big guys. The one guy was chunky. The other guy looked like he wasn't exactly slim either. They were two big guys. What are the odds that these two big dudes, both of them died from getting squished? I'm not seeing it. And the one video that you see where Travis is up on this extension to lift him up 20 feet in the air, and they're pulling a body out, and he's either saying, yeah, yeah, or dead. I think he's saying dead. He says it 3 times. That is some creepy footage. That is some creepy footage. So they have this footage of these group of people, and they're saying, stop the show, stop the show. Well, that's kind of ridiculous to think that this guy's going to be able to hear that. But at one point, he flips out. He says, what? Who told me to stop? And then he says, put your hands up in the air if you want me to stop the show. And a bunch of people boo, and they go right into the next song, and he continues. Well, this guy knew what was going on. This guy knew he should have stopped the show. He's always encouraging everyone to rage out, and this was, Illuminati or not, this is all incredibly great. This is represents a huge payday for this guy. Sure, he's going to have to put some money out, but in the end, he's going to end up becoming a really the next. Uh, what was that guy's name? Yeezus just dropped his little device, little uh, with the stems in it, his Donda cube that he dropped. It's smart. I shouldn't laugh. Uh, that hip hop world is something that I really don't know much about, but um, I can't handle listening to an 808. And the auto tune thing is very, very difficult for me to listen to it. I do not respond well to trap music, and that whole thing is just seems like such a nightmare to me. Like being there and having the life choked out of you listening to that, and especially considering this is kind of demonic or satanic. I mean, it all seems like it's really in a spirit of violence. Like when I hear that music, it just seems like it's really evil, like wickedness, you know. Um, so there's a good number of people who are bringing that up, and perhaps some people can repent and get their lives on track because that road, that path that rappers sing about and glorify, it really ends in two things: penitentiary or death. And you can't deal drugs nowadays. That's the CIA's job. So if you try to do that, it's not going to end well for you. I heard something interesting. Since we've pulled out of Afghanistan, there's no more heroin. There's no heroin. It's all fentanyl now. So if you add all this stuff up, they say if it walks like a duck. So that's something to consider. Don't hate on me. Look into it yourself. Take a little time and don't use Google. Use DuckDuckGo because Google's not going to give you the answers that you're searching for. DuckDuckGo is a search engine that will. So the first step is go to Google and look up DuckDuckGo and use that as your search engine. Don't use Google. Use DuckDuckGo. I know it sounds silly, but it's a search engine that doesn't, it's not hooked into the Beast system. And a lot of this stuff, they or Google doesn't want you to find out the truth. They don't want you knowing what's going on. And they will hide it. Even if you ask it for that information, they will hide it. Now, there is, if you type in Astroworld and conspiracy, there is a podcast, Astroworld Blood Sacrifice Conspiracy podcast. It's like 33 minutes long. It's decent. The guy obviously doesn't have any, I mean, there's no direct proof. So this is all speculation. But he offered up a really good case that this guy is a Satanist, that he is. It's kind of well known. He has appeared with flaming pentagram through his lyrics. And the people that he associates with. One of the things that I thought was interesting is he rapped about hanging around with Bill and talking about Congress. And that was a reference because he's taken photographs with Bill Clinton. And if you know anything about the adrenochrome and the Pizzagate and all that, that's all directly tied into Elephantis and the Clinton family. So that's not surprising that these connections come together really kind of slyly in a lyric, but then if you read into it, it says, oh yeah, he took these photographs with Bill Clinton. And so it's crazy. It's a crazy, crazy fucking world we live in. And I always like to say, oh, hug your pets, be nice, peace, something like that. Be safe. be safe. Think about that concert ticket that you're going to buy. Think about the artists that you support. What do they glorify? What do they stand for? You only get one soul. All right, you guys, take care of yourselves. Hug your pets. And peace.